We are getting down to it. 5 weeks left in the Major League Baseball season. We will be talking everything fantasy with you coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Happy Sunday night, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate and review the podcast, we'd really appreciate that. Helps us out, helps people find the podcast, et cetera, et cetera. We appreciate DraftKings Pick 6 for the sponsorship of the podcast. Jeff, Sunday night, it's late August. It's we got 5 weeks left in the season. It's coming fast. How is everything in your world?
Good. I'm good. Very excited, very tired though. Great week in Vegas for Circa. Almost a full week. Felt like a week. I was only there. Got there Wednesday, came back tonight. For the Circa Ultimate Contest sign up weekend.
Nice.
Did a Radio Row. I did this panel on Saturday with Willis McGahee.
Nice.
Also Frank Schwab from Yahoo, and Jamie Pelleggi from Circa. Mike Palm hosted. Very fun panel. Then did some like various assorted VEASAN segments there. Very, very fun time. But I'm happy to talk some baseball here. We talked a little baseball during like my VEASAN segments and all that, but I kind of need this to kind of stay centered.
I was gonna say it's late August. Those kind of segments you're probably focusing on a lot of football. I understand, but yeah, it's good to have a place to talk baseball. I'm looking forward to it. Another fun day across the majors today. We were talking a little bit earlier, pulling up NL Rookie of the Year odds. Paul Skenes was like minus 3,000 a month ago, and now it's pretty close to even, I think, between him and Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill coming on strong.
Yeah. Merrill has passed Skenes.
Has he passed him? Wow. Skenes is a lot of talk about his innings getting shortened here. Apparently, the Pirates have a number in their head, and they're going to go with the less innings per start and more starts angle, it looks like, rather than just kind of letting him throw 7 and then shut him down when he hits the number. But that combined with Jackson Merrill hitting a game-tying or winning home run in the 8th or 9th inning seemingly every single day for the Padres. It's been wild. He had a walk-off home run again against Diaz. Jackson Merrill has been awesome. He's really fun. He's one of those guys that we weren't sure to start the season with the team. They started in overseas, so we knew right away he was going to play. He started opening night. Has been playing ever since. 18 home runs, 13 stolen bases hit, 288 after today. Actually, 19 home runs after today's home run. Just been a great year. He got 64 runs scored, 71 RBI. I think he's going to pass Skenes just based on how this last month's going to go.
It raises the question, how important is team success in an award like this? Because it's really unfair to Skenes because he's doing his part.
Yes.
But the Pirates fell apart in August. Had that like 12-game losing streak. I guess there's 2 of his starts in there. But point is, like they really hit a rough patch, including against Merrill's Padres, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's kind of stacked against Skenes because he's a pitcher, because he's on a lesser team. I think it's almost unfair. But
I'd vote Skenes right now for sure. But I think this last 5 weeks is going to shift that because I think Skenes is going to pitch very little. I think Merrill's going to be playing a lot in a I don't know if we call it a pennant race, a wild card race, whatever we want to call it, a little bit of both. Playoff race. There you go. I just think he's going to be 5 weeks of a playoff race, and Skenes going to get shut down. He's going to throw, let's call it 120 innings. I just don't think it's going to be quite enough, even though he's been just legit awesome. But they've both been great. It's hard to really pick, between them. But I just think the last 5 weeks will probably shift it towards Merrill.
Yeah, I think so too. Keep talking for a second. I have to calm down a cat real quick.
All right, either strawberry or blueberry or the lollipop's getting a little rascally over there. So Jeff's gonna go take care of that. But it's been such a fun year. We talked about all the Jackson's Holiday, who's actually been slumping a little bit lately. Did have a big 3 RBI double the other night against the Astros. But Jackson Churio has been coming on lately. But Jackson Merrill's just been a fun story on a good team. Someone in the chat mentioned that Merrill's leading the Padres in WAR, which is pretty impressive because Jurickson, Profar, and Machado have both had pretty big years too.
Yeah, exactly. Michael C with that observation. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's wild because Tatis has been hurt for so long. They've gotten nothing out of Darvish for so long. They did get Musgrove back, and he dealt this weekend. In fact, he's had a couple of good outings. 1
hit or whatever. He looked really good.
And he owns the Mets, by the way. It's kind of funny, and that's kind of direct competition for wild card spots.
It is. Yeah, today's home run was big. I mean, they were tied with the Mets in the 9th. Diaz comes in, Merrill homers, and you're right. I mean, I think it's, the Padres and Diamondbacks have a nice little edge there, but it's still 5 weeks left. That could be made up. That was a big 2-game swing right there.
Yeah, and Profar would hit the game tying homer in the eighth too, and Profar has been extraordinary too.
It's crazy how many games this team wins in the 8th and 9th inning. It's just insane.
Just the polar opposite of last year's team.
It's wild how that works.
It just shows that everybody who says, "Oh, they're not clutch. They don't have that gene. Clutch is a thing." I mean, this is a pretty powerful counter argument. I wouldn't say it's proof of anything, but let's see how you could say that the same team. I mean, yes, Tatis is not playing right now, but this team who failed so badly in the clutch last year, doing so well in the clutch this year. It's essentially the same team minus Juan Soto, and they're still doing that. And it's not like Soto. No one's saying that. It's impressive to me, and it just shows that performance in 1-run games is probably not the best metric to measure a team. Peter says Juan Soto Ewing theory, except for the fact that the Yankees are rolling right now, which kind of takes away from that. Maybe it's just he's not the best player on his team, although that's risible too. I mean, that's actually a real debate.
Risible, good word for that one right there.
Thank you.
With Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. These guys homer every day, Jeff. Every time I look, I'm like, oh, the Yankees have 8 runs and Soto and Judge have each homer. It's crazy. These guys are just carrying this team. The rest of the offense has been pretty bland. It's just Judge and Soto are awesome. Judge homered twice more today. He has 51 home runs. We're at August 25th, but Soto has 37 home runs. Like, I mean, we think of Juan Soto, we're thinking, a absolute stud with a 420 on base, high batting average, some pop, but man, he's got 37 home runs. That's a career high. He had his career high before was last year with 35. He had 34 in Happy Fun Ball 2019, but he's got 37 on August 25th. More walks than strikeouts, a 430 OBP, 56% hard hit, a 20% barrel rate. This is for a guy who's been a stud for a lot of years. This is easily his best season.
Yeah. And by the way, Judge is still better. I mean, I just looked at it, it's like, okay, yeah, Soto has all these superlatives and Judge still has an OPS 100 points higher. I think it's just insane. Just insane how that is. I mean,
Judge's season is absurd right now.
Do you think Judge is getting, it's not even a thing. Judge is getting more to hit because he's got Soto in front of him.
He's got Soto on base 43% of the time. That helps the cause for sure.
Yeah, but and Judge's on base is 467. It's just stupid. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, if they had someone to hit behind these guys, that person would have like 400 RBI, but they don't have anybody there. It's the craziest thing is like Austin Wells has been hitting fourth and hit pretty well. He has 1 run scored in August.
Yeah.
So he's driving in nice, but there's nobody behind them. It's crazy.
Yeah, Stanton is okay.
Yeah, having Stanton there, it helps a lot. I mean, if he can stay healthy, just having that the threat there does help the lineup a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Jazz has had a good season, 2027. Now it's just interesting. They consider the lineup construction. Obviously, with the Yankees, Jazz has been awesome. 313, 353, 672. That's wild.
It's only been like 10 games or something, but yeah, he was really good before he got hurt. Now
16 games.
Oh, was it 16? All right, it was a little more than I thought.
Because he's back now, and worried about him breaking every time he fields a ball, but still.
Yeah. Someone asked chat, would you start Andrew Heaney this week? 2 favorable starts, White Sox in Oakland. Absolutely. And I was trying to pick up that start. So that would be, we will, if he was available in your league, you get the White Sox. And I know the A's have been much, much better, scored a bunch of runs, but yeah, you get the White Sox and almost anybody else. And I'm throwing that 2-step.
Yeah.
So it's easy, we talk about Judge and Soto. Jeff, do you know who leads the National League in runs scored since July 1st? Because this is a polarizing player for most of the season.
Well, Scott, I do, because eventually I could read the outline properly, the show sheet properly. I did tweet out initially who leads the NL in homers since July 1st, but it's runs. It is Corbin Carroll.
It is Corbin Carroll, and
his return to value coincides with the Diamondbacks catching fire. I don't think that it's not, but it's not coincidence. It's he is a big part of that. I mean, his overall numbers still stink, but he's up to 709 OPS. I mean, if you go like, we're doing selective endpoints because we're good at that sort of thing, and that's real analysis. So since July 2nd, because they didn't play July 1st, he's got an 877 OPS.
Yeah.
Much better. And he's much better at home than on the road, which I found interesting there. At home over that period, 290, 384, 694. On the road, 208, 287, 465. So he's doing most of his damage at home. Although it's interesting that he's scoring more runs on the road, but he's doing other damage at home.
Kind of wild they score all these runs. He's selling in 240 since July 1st. It's not like the batting average is in there, but he does have 12 homers in that stretch, which is, Bobby Witt has 13. I just see him because he's at 45 runs right behind Carroll. But even in August, it's even more pronounced. Carroll has 24 runs scored. The next highest is 19. He's just been, it's mostly a factor of getting on base and hitting at the top of this lineup where every single other guy in this lineup. Jake McCarthy is second in August in RBI in baseball, which is a crazy stat too. I feel like Eugenio Suarez homers every day. Like this team is just on fire. They've won 6 in a row, swept the Red Sox this weekend. This team is coming strong. They are going to be they're a force to be reckoned with right now. They're going to be tough in the playoffs.
I love watching Jack Peterson just hit these preposterous homers. Like the ball's in his eyes and he still yanks it out of there. It's fun to watch. And they're doing this without Christian Walker. Yeah, that to me is it's like crazy. And Walker was, crushing before he got hurt too. So, he kind of maybe sparked them. He got them started and then everybody else kind of picked up the ball and said, we'll take care of you since then. Josh Bell, I think he's had some moments since getting called over. I don't know what his overall numbers are since the trade, but my mind's eye thinks that he's doing well with there, and the good thing about doing podcasts is you're in front of a computer and you can look these things up. So you can actually tell if he's actually doing well. As a Diamondback, 846 OPS. As a Marlin, 699. So there you go.
Yeah. Eugenio Suarez with 44 RBI, leading all of baseball since July 1st himself. So it is not did not just seem like he hits 3 homer every game. He pretty much does.
Yeah. And they went into Boston this weekend and did some damage.
Yeah. And obviously Ketel Marte was on fire before he got hurt.
He's hurt now too. Yeah. It's crazy.
And he was just going crazy. He's got 32 RBI since July 1st, and he's missed the last 10, 11 days. But they've just been on fire. They've been fun. So what the heck is Corbin Carroll's ADP next year? Right now, he's at 222 overall in the season, a brutal batting average and a ton of at-bats, 14 homers, 52 RBIs, but he does have 21 stolen bases and 93 runs.
He's going to get 100 runs. He's going to be 18 to 1830 maybe to finish there.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good guess, and probably going to, let's say he hits 232 or 235, something like that. He was a top 5 pick early this year, kind of shifted back a little bit, but he was a top 10 pick. I think he was kind of in that 6, 7, 8, 9 range in main events. Is he
not higher? Yeah, in some instances higher too. Yeah. Minimum top 30 next year, and I think when we get through the end of this season, if he continues on this upward trajectory, it might be top 50. It might be first round still. Depends on what the news cycle is after the season. Like they say, well, yeah, my shoulder was hurting me until June, and then we just never said anything. It's going to be back to the moon with him.
Yeah, I was thinking middle of the second round is probably the spot he settles in, and then maybe he, like you said, he kind of shifts up a little bit as we get closer to drafts. But I'd go to ADP of 21.5. I'd set the over-under right now if I had to set it.
Rob DiPietro has the early meatball draft, not a mock draft, people. It is a real draft. It's just crazy stupid. But it is not a mock. I want to make sure we make that clear. He went top 20 in that draft. So, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. It'll probably move up a little bit. I'd probably go 20 to 22 somewhere in there. But it'd be one of those guys that's very interesting. But you're right. There's probably one guy in the draft that's going to want him, but the 21 stolen base is actually kind of low for as much as he's been on base lately. It just that I still think the 21 is pretty low. I was surprised it was not. I thought it was a little higher than that.
Yeah, Stephen Putney says the same thing. Oddly, not winning enough there. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, don't worry about repeating a comment there. It's all good. We're all having a conversation there. Sometimes you can't catch everything because we got lightning comments in the chat again. I love it there. I like it when people talk to each other in the chat.
So the Diamondbacks we mentioned on a roll, won 6 in a row. The National League is interesting right now. There's 3 teams that are 90+% to make the playoffs. No, 3 teams in the NL West that are 90% to make the playoffs, but 5 teams that are over 90%. Like 5 teams are nobody's locked in at this point, but the Padres are the lowest of that. They're 95.4% to make the playoffs right now in ESPN. Milwaukee, Philly, and the Dodgers all over 99%. Arizona at 97%. Kind of leaves no spots left. That's 6 spots right there. The Mets are 19%, so they're kind of built in all the percentage from you take everybody's kind of make it. The Braves are 80%, so that's the last spot is kind of Braves, Mets with maybe a lingering Diamondbacks or Padres kind of fall out of it. But, looking at the odds, 95% chance that all 5 of those 6 spots are locked in.
Never tell me the odds. Yeah, definitely worth looking at there. And I'm just pulling up the Braves schedule to see if they play the Mets, to see if there's some head-to-heads left. And guess what? Last week of the season, Mets get 3 in Atlanta, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 24th through 26th.
Man, that'd be fun if those games matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Not so fun for the for the Braves, but them making the playoffs. When you think about it, the amount of stuff they've had to overcome this year is pretty insane.
Yeah, they would have been a pretty darn good team if they had stayed healthy. Michael Harris, they avoided a major injury today. He got hit by a pitch, and I was like, oh, my gosh, here we go again.
I know, right?
At least it seems like there was, from early results, there's no fracture, obviously. We always take a beat on those to see if they do further tests, but it seems like they avoided one there, at least for the first time all year. An injury report came back positive for the Braves. But it's just fun how it's wild how kind of we talked about how open it was for so long, and now it's really kind of top-heavy. There's 5 teams that look pretty I don't want to say locked in, but pretty certain to make the playoffs right now. The AL is interesting too. There's 6 teams that playoff odds over 80% now. It's really separated there too.
That's even more over. Yeah.
Yeah. The Royals and the Twins are 89%. The Royals are 80%. And the Red Sox are 25%. So the Red Sox can't take some percentage there from the Royals and the Twins. Seattle has really fallen off. They're 1 game over 500 right now, 3-7 last 10. The Astros have kind of flown by them with a 4.5 game lead. The AL could be really boring in September if the Red Sox don't kind of turn it on, or the Twins or Royals kind of get down a little bit.
Yeah. What'd you think about the Scott Servais firing?
I was a little bit surprised by that. I saw the note and I'm like, wow, I didn't see that. I think it was a note. It was the first manager ever fired in a season where he had a 10-game lead during the same season or some stat like that. But I was a little bit surprised, but they've been really bad for a while here.
Yeah. But why? That's the question. Is it tactics? Is it motivation? Is there something going on, or is it just that their hitters aren't that good?
Yeah, they just can't hit is the problem. I mean, their pitching is still – I think they still have the least runs allowed overall as a staff in the entire American League. And when you do that and you're still 1 game over 500, I mean, you just got to look at the offense.
Yeah, you do. 516 runs scored. In the American League, only the Rays at 502, the Angels at 515, and, of course, the White Sox, who have lost 100 games already, are at 408. They're just in another class. I mean, it's just hard to just – appreciate just how bad the White Sox are.
They lost their 100th game today.
This is the turn of the century stuff, and I'm not talking the 21st century. It is so amazing how bad this team is.
But I mean, it's hard to blame Scott Servais for Julio Rodriguez having a 680 OPS. I mean, it's just he's their best player. He was a top 5 player. Everybody wanted him. He was at 32, 37 last year. I know he was hurt for a while, but he's been just nowhere near as good as he was the last couple of years.
Yeah. Some differing opinions here. Some think his firing is overdue. Others think he's a sacrificial lamb. I get it. I get both. I mean, as Uncle Ted says, they don't have any lefty bats, which is weird. Cal Raleigh is a switch hitter, right? If I got that right.
Yep.
But yeah, it's weird. And righties don't do well in Safeco. So that's kind of on Dipoto to me, as far as I'm concerned. Because I mean, Safeco's it's not Safeco anymore; it's T-Mobile. I know,
T-Mobile,
but got it. The thing is, it's weird that I don't want to change when they change sponsors, but it's just a sponsor.
I was gonna say the first one was a sponsor too. It's not like Seattle Sky.
It's not like Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, which was named after a sports writer. Right. That's one where you could remain loyal. If Dodger Stadium became whatever sponsor instead of Dodger Stadium, I'd still call it Dodger Stadium.
I mean, we still call it Staples, and it's the crypto.com arena too.
Oh, yeah. So but then again, that's
another sponsor also. But the Mariners' best left-handed bats are Luke Raley and Josh Rojas, I guess. I know Raleigh and Jorge Polanco are switch hitters, but
Polanco being such a disaster this year is a tough one to swallow. Because I actually thought he was going to be okay.
I just felt like this is a Hail Mary of, we're scuffling so badly. Maybe a new manager, we just spark something and we get hot for 5 weeks. Is kind of what it felt like to me. It's just, it's just the last Hail Mary in the season to see if it randomly works.
Yeah. And of course, when your star is not a star, that also is the other thing too.
when your uber superstar is not a star. I mean, that's a big problem right there.
Yeah, he's not even above average player right now offensively.
Jeff,
where does he go, by the way? Sorry.
That's a good. I was going to say that's a good. I thought that earlier and I didn't get to it. But where does Julio go? Julio was second, third, fourth in almost every draft. It was kind of that second. If you didn't go Strider, that second offensive player was Julio or Bobby Witt. That one hasn't been very close.
39 RBI this year.
Wow,
39. Let that settle in. 11 homers
that
this year.
Just kill it. 39 RBIs, and he's got less than 50 runs. Bobby Witt has just absolutely destroyed him in the head-to-head there.
So what's your answer to the question is?
13th to 15th overall. Before Carroll.
I would take Carroll before Julio right now.
I think people will toss this year away as he was never healthy. I think he goes before Carroll.
I'm just curious why.
Just based on the fact that he's 23 and was 32, 37 last year, has been so good his first couple of years. I don't think anybody will let him get out of the first round.
Okay. I mean, Carroll's out-earned him by a 2-1 margin almost.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
No, I mean, Julio has been an absolute disaster. I just think if you are picking...
So it's 1 year is different.
If you're picking 12, 13, 14, 15, are you really going to not take that stab? I think I'm taking that stab.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Julio is just, I just don't know why he doesn't pull the ball anymore. And that him not pulling the ball is why he doesn't hit for much power. But and it's been all year. It's not because he got hurt and that's why. He was healthy early on. Yeah. I don't know.
I think you talk about Carroll with the shoulder. I think we're going to get some Julio injury update at the end of the season too, that he was never fully there. But I just think if you're late in the first round, I think that's it's a spot where you can take him and get a top 5 player, from a year ago. I think he only gets out of the first round.
Okay.
I could be wrong though. I could be. I mean, you could argue Carroll. You could argue it's good head to head right there. You could argue either way.
I think there are 15 other players I will take before Julio. I think I'm pretty comfortable in saying that. Yeah,
I think he's probably right near the end of that list for me, but I'd probably take him at the 1-2 turn if we're doing it right now. But obviously, I haven't prepped anything. But it's a fascinating year because 39 RBIs in 111 games is really, really bad.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, I mean, you look in the hard hits down a little bit, barrels down a little bit, strikeouts are up a little bit. Kind of everything's a little bit worse, but it's just, his BABIP's still 340, so it's not like he's had unlucky BABIP or anything like that. His home runs for fly ball are way down, so maybe a little bit, maybe that pops back up for the home runs. But yeah, it's been rough. If you drafted him, it's been a tough. That's been a tough road. If you took him, it's been really tough to compete with that.
Yeah, Steven asked Yordan or Julio. My instinct is a snap call Yordan. I know I'm not getting stolen bases, but I'm getting a guy that can really hit.
Yordan can absolutely really hit.
Yeah,
no doubt. Jeff, a question I was trying to answer earlier tonight. Hunter Greene, we talked about him last week. He went in the IL. There was some additional news yesterday that the MRI came back pretty well. There's no serious damage, but he still has inflammation. They're like, and the quote was weird. It was like a couple days or maybe a couple weeks to get the inflammation down. And he was thinking he wants to make 2 or 3 starts at the end of the year. I dropped him. I just think I don't know if that happens. The Reds are going to be out of it by then. I'm sorry to our Reds. They're going to be out of it by then. Why push him? And if
they are out of it already.
Yeah,
yes.
And if they do, he does come back, he's going to throw like 2 or 3. And he's not going to throw him out there for 6-7 innings. I just don't think he's going to be usable for any fantasy starts down the stretch. I dropped him this week, and it was a really tough drop because he's been freaking awesome.
Drop and thank him. Yep. And then get him back next year.
Yeah, for sure. It's been fun. It's been a really good season for him. But I just think when you get to this point of the year, 5 weeks left, you get someone that is out for 3 weeks. I just think you have to cut it.
Yeah. I hate it.
As painful as it is. Yeah.
Yep.
We have a big week this week, Jeff. We got a lot of games this week. There are 14 teams with 7 games. And then also the Royals have 8 games. We have a bunch of doubleheaders. We have a weird situation tomorrow morning, though. I don't know if you've looked at the schedule at all. The Rays or the Jays and the Red Sox play 2 games tomorrow, but one of them starts in the second inning as a continuation from a game suspended on June 26th, I believe, 24th or 26th, but June. So that game does not count in your NFBC stats. So you're going to watch 8 innings a game. They're going to count only if you had guys in the lineup in the June 26th week, but your players will lock. So if you're playing any NFBC games, the guys
lock. Oh,
The
wow.
lock is the game started and the guys are playing, but even though the game doesn't really count except it's for 2 months ago.
But so you do get the stats eventually.
You get the stats if you had those guys in your lineup during the week of June 24th or 26th.
So,
but like say
days, like if you had Devers, you're getting whatever.
If you have Devers, you obviously you had him in no matter what.
Yeah,
but if you had if Spencer Horwitz homers and nobody had him in June and everybody has him now, that's not.
He's a tree falling in the forest and nobody's going
to go anywhere, and it's going to be it's going to suck. Because some guys are going to play that game. They're like, oh, we played the game. We're not going to play game 2. We're not going to have lineups for game 2. We have to set the lineups for those teams. So it's a tough little sticky situation there. I'm sure people are going to be upset when someone hits a 3-run homer in the 6th inning in the first game tomorrow. They don't realize that they're not getting those stats unless they had the guy in the lineup 2 months ago.
Well, the best story from this game,
Danny Jansen.
Yes, Danny Jansen / Janny Danson, as my group chat group and Scarf likes to refer to it there. But yeah, the Jays have to actually pinch hit for him because he was in the lineup on that.
I think he's to be the first guy to play in the same game for 2 different teams. I think it was a stat I saw, assuming he gets in at bat for the Red Sox tomorrow.
Right. The Red Sox will be killjoys and not play him. Watch.
Oh, that'd be so bad. You better get him in there, at least like catch the 9th or something like that.
Yeah. They deserve not to get the wild card if they do that.
But just to note for everybody, if you see a big home run in the first game tomorrow, you don't see the stats. That is why it is a game that's going to count for June. So it's I'm sure nobody had Chad Greene in then probably either. I don't know. Was Romano actually healthy then? I don't remember. But
we're not to mention that name.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Along with the big week of a lot of teams playing a lot of games, we do have a Rockies home week all week this week. 7 games, 4 against Miami, 3 against Baltimore. There's going to be a lot of runs this week. With this many games, there's going to be a lot of games on Mondays and Thursdays. Sometimes we have some quiet days there. This is one of the last weeks of the season where, September is really tough. There's a lot of guys sit games, guys go shorter innings. This is a big moving week right here for fantasy leagues. This is, maybe one of those last weeks where you can really make a big gain.
Right. No preseason football games, no regular season football games. You got to be paying really close attention here.
God, preseason football is bad.
Oh, it is. It really is.
I try to watch the Niners games, and I really struggle to do it. It's tough.
Did you see the play at the end of the game, though?
Wild. I think there was like forward pass in there somewhere, so I don't think it was going to count, but it was pretty awesome. The offensive lineman was pissed. He thought he had his moment of glory. He should have broken that tackle, too.
Yeah.
But it was pretty wild. I'm just glad that there's no overtime, and they apparently changed that in 2021. Nobody wants overtime in preseason.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yes, and Peter Stanky points out we do have college football. That is a very good point. I think Georgia and Clemson play this week. 1 versus 11. This will be a big game.
I did watch the Florida State Georgia Tech game from Vegas.
That's a terrible game to yak up in your first game of the season. But
what's funny is the sharps are all over that. That opened at 13.5 and went to 10.5. The other thing that's interesting is the unders are going to hit, I think, for a while because of the clock rule. But
they changed it. I don't know. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But some news and notes before we get to FAAB. We mentioned Michael Harris left early after the hit by pitch, no fracture. Obviously, check the follow-up reports there, but it seems like the Braves dodged a bullet there. Willson Contreras not as lucky. 10 to L with a fractured finger. It seems like all the thoughts are going to be out longer than the anticipated, or than the 10 days. Obviously, with the fractured finger, I think he's a drop in fantasy leagues. Obviously, too.
Yeah, well, and it kind of like. A reminder that the Cardinals are disappointing again this year.
Yes, they are.
Minus 56 run differential, Scott. I didn't even notice that until now. I mean, wow. That's really, really awful.
That is not good right there. They've been a strange, weird team. They had a couple of nice moments. You're like, oh, here's the Cardinals. They're finally coming on, and then just kind of nothing.
Yeah. I thought they were going to eat their Carter Devil Magic, and it's still plausible, but man, it's not just the games. It's also that they have to leapfrog the Mets, the Giants, to even get to that conversation. They're tied with the Giants, but let alone the Braves.
Yeah, it's tough. And you look at some of Goldschmidt, we thought maybe he was coming on. He's hitting 230 since July 1st with, a few home runs, but, Arenado's coming on a little bit, but they just have nobody that's really stepped up. I mean, Alec Burleson's probably been their best hitter.
Yeah, he has. Mason Wynn's been a nice little fine, more of a defender than offensive player, but still he's holding his own.
Did you see Jose Iglesias play today, by the way?
Yeah, that was sick.
Unbelievable play. Yeah. I was watching Sports Center top 10, like number 4. I was like, that's absurd. That's an unbelievably impossible play.
Yeah. It is.
I love that he rolled. I really rolled the ball to first too, just for the effect of rolling the ball to first because the play was so good. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Paul Blackburn, we talked about the Mets earlier when the 15-day IL with a right hand contusion. Obviously, if you have Blackburn, I think he's a drop too, fringy enough where you could probably just drop that.
Man, we picked him up in the main. He was so disappointing in that 2-step week. I mean, yeah.
Alex Call, who was a popular pickup the last couple weeks, playing well for the Nationals. 10-day IL with plantar fascia tear in his left foot. As we've seen that's never really a good one. Guys are out for a long time there, so easy drop there. Xavier Edwards, some late news right before we get in the podcast. He missed Saturday and Sunday with lower back discomfort. He has been a huge find for people with stolen bases in leagues. MRI came back clean, but there was a report tonight on MLB.com that Jeff Conine's son, Jeff spelled differently, by the way, kind of weird, Geoff Conine.
Oh, he's a Geoff?
Yes, he's a Geoff. He's going to get called up.
No, that hurts me to the core.
And the beat writer in that story said that the sources said that they're calling him up and Xavier Edwards going on the IL. So that's not officially made a move yet. But if you have Edwards, make sure you have someone else to cover for him because it seems like he might spend some time on the IL this week.
For sure. He was so good too. We were talking about him.
So good. He was going to Coors
John
this week
Birdie,
too.
Carlos Gomez. One of those guys that just lights it up on a bad team at the end of the season.
Oh, there you go. Paul Sport corrected me. He said it's Griffin Conine. I don't know where I got Jeff Conine from.
Okay, I feel better now.
I think the report I read I don't know where I read, but it is Griffin Conine. So
your turn for a reading comprehension moment.
It happens quite often. A few other quick notes. You mentioned Yordan Alvarez earlier. We were talking about him versus Julio. Missed the weekend with neck discomfort. It seems like they think he's going to be fine, but just a note there. Nolan Schanuel missed the weekend due to a back issue. We had a lot of guys missing the weekend. Cedric Mullins missed the weekend with a quad injury. Just a lot of guys just keep your eye on to see if they're playing either on Monday or Tuesday. Robbie Ray left his start today with hamstring tightness. What do you do with something like this? Are you holding this? Someone asked me this earlier. If you hold him with the amount of news we had, I think you hold Ray. But I admit that this could be something that shelves him for a few weeks pretty quick, and then he's a drop pretty fast if that happens.
Yeah, I think I'd wait.
Yeah, me too.
Just a little bit, but yeah, I think he's a wait 1 week sort of guy.
The Giants are a weird team.
Yeah. They are.
I was just up in the Bay Area this weekend. People in the Bay Area are really just mad at this team and mad at the front office. They all want everybody in the front office fired from everything I heard this weekend.
Well,
they are tired. They are tired of finishing second in every free agent bidding race, I think.
Yeah, but they got Snell. They got Ray.
Yeah, they did. They got Snell, but I think it's the missing Judge, missing Ohtani back-to-back years when it felt like both of them were maybe kind of close, and really they probably weren't. But more used as I think they're being tired of using leverage to get bigger deals from teams.
That I get, and it's a big city, big market. They want to behave. They want their team to behave like a big market team. Yeah, I mean they signed Jung-Hoo Lee too, and that they got very little play out of him. They got him out for the season pretty quickly. So now they're just kind of stocking the team with various McRays and, hoping for the best.
Someone up there who's a big Giants fan asked me, what to look forward to in the offseason. I told them finishing second in the one Soto sweepstakes, and they did not enjoy my comment.
No, they did not find that humorous.
No, but I did, so it's all right.
Shocking.
Couple of Dodgers notes. Tyler Glasnow's absence is going to be longer than anticipated. But played catch from 60 feet. It seems like everything is kind of okay, but they're hoping to get him back in September. What do you do with Glasnow, Jeff? Is he a hold? I mean, he's so good that if he comes back in 2 weeks, you get 3 or 4 starts, but kind of falls. I think he's maybe a little bit more likely than Hunter Greene to get some important innings just because the Dodgers need him. They're in a race. They may need him to make those starts last couple weeks. I'm probably a hold on Glasnow with the anticipation that maybe that's a mistake.
It's a hold, I guess, but doesn't it feel like this is happening a lot with the Dodgers where it's not that big of a deal. It's a little longer. It's not Kyle Tucker-esque, but
I can't believe he's still not playing.
Yeah, I can. At this point, I totally can.
June 3rd was when he got hurt.
Yeah. Will Carroll's newsletter is excellent about that. And he's floating that he kind of thinks it's more of a nerve issue with Kyle Tucker and less like the bone.
Right.
And it might be the case. By the way, Will Carroll's awesome, and you should subscribe to his Under the Knife newsletter. It's good stuff.
Yeah, he's been the injury guy for so many years. He's done it forever. He's done a great job.
Yeah.
Yoshi Yamamoto starting a rehab assignment on Wednesday. So some good news there for the Dodgers. They are getting some guys back, hopefully. Probably 2 or 3 starts for him. I think they're all kind of ramping these guys up to get them ready for the playoffs. I don't know what they do in the playoffs. Like they can't start Walker Buehler right now unless he really turns it on this last month.
or Bobby Miller, or
At least Miller threw well this week. Walker Buehler's been awful.
yeah, he struck out 9. Now, granted, it was against the Rays, but I'm talking about Miller.
You're talking about Miller. Yeah, he actually did look good in that Friday night start. I think Buehler has like 2 strikeouts his last 4 starts. He's punching nobody out since he's come back.
The last time Walker Buehler threw 6 innings was May 31st. That's unusable.
It's unusable, and they're not like 5 shutout innings and they take him out. It's been bad and short and no strikeouts. He's starting this week against the Orioles on Wednesday night. That's gonna be an interesting outing. Flaherty on Tuesday. Dodgers Orioles will be fun this week.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw is a playoff starter now. I think he's like the safest guy. Maybe Flaherty is.
Man,
actually.
I go Flaherty Stone 1-2 right now.
Stone, man, has been
Stone was
so
awesome
up and down.
He was awesome.
It was awesome. It was against the Mariners, though, Scott.
Yeah, it was against Tampa today, but that's not
okay. You're not really helping.
Yeah, I'm not.
But yeah, I forgot about today actually.
Yeah,
so
I mean it's Glass now Flaherty because we assume Glass will be back. It's Glass now Flaherty, Yamamoto, Kershaw if they're healthy, and they. If they can get those guys healthy by the end of the season, that suddenly looks really, really good. But if they're not,
I'm not counting Glasnow and Yamamoto till they're actually pitching in games.
Agreed. I think that they're trying to ramp it up so it works out perfectly, but that's always dangerous with pitchers too.
Yeah, I mean, they made it clear they're not going to use like Ohtani as a reliever even in the playoffs. It's
crazy that the guy hits his 40th home run, a walk-off grand slam, and the next day he's like throwing a bullpen. Like it's just the most amazing unicorn thing ever. The guy's unbelievable. He's 40-40 on August 23rd. Like, that is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
20 games faster than anybody else gets 40-40. It's wild.
Yeah. It's just getting their 40-40 and a walk-off granny on the same day. I mean, it's just
absurd.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he's a special dude. Last note, we were talking about the Padres earlier. You mentioned Yu Darvish. He's actually back with the team. Threw a bullpen on Friday. Says he's fully healthy. I imagine we got maybe a week or two. Maybe they send him down for 1 or 2 rehab outings, but it seems like they should get Darvish back for this final push, which is great news.
Yeah, it is. I'm expecting him not this week, but next week.
That was my guess too.
But we picked him up this week in the main because this
picked him up also. We didn't even talk about that. We both picked him up. That's cool.
Yeah. 10-6 was the winning bid versus the second place bid. We dropped Paul Blackburn in the process. So
easy drop there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue. Let's get into FAAB. But first, a note from our sponsors at DraftKings Pick 6. You ever played the over-under game with your friends? Think I can eat that slice of pizza in under 30 seconds, or how long it'll take me to down this 2-liter soda under a minute? If you have, you're going to love Pick 6, the new fantasy game from DraftKings. Here's how to play during baseball season. Pick between 2 and 6 players and choose without more or less of a stat, like runs, hits, strikeouts, and more. Track your picks and play against others for a shot to win huge cash prizes. That's all there is to it. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code RWPICKS. New customers play $5 and get 50 in Pick 6 credits. That's code RWPICKS. For new customers, play $5 and get 50 in Pick 6 credits only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is now yours. 1 per new customer. Non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits expire in 6 months. Limited time offer. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states. Not eligible in all states, including New York and Connecticut. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Void or prohibited. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. So Jeff, let's go starters first. You mentioned Yu Darvish. You picked him up there. I like that pickup. I think that we've got the point of the season where it is really hard to find any starters. If he does pitch in, maybe you don't use him the first time out, but if he's pitching for a really good team, he's obviously really solid. I like taking a shot on that act. I think he's going to make 3 or 4 starts down the stretch to be usable fantasy wise.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's I think it's worth taking the shot at this point. You're not going to find too many other impact guys. It's worth waiting the extra week. And the thing is, like, even next week when he makes his first start, he probably won't go 5.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at 2 weeks from now before he's really going to get you a win. But yeah, I still think it's worth it. You get a final month with a good team. I'm still going to try it there. Still took the gamble.
I was the same there. I added him in both my main events for some cheap prices. We talked a lot about Bowden Francis last week. He came off the great 2-step, looked awesome again this week. I think it was against the Angels, so it only half counts. But we talked about him last week, and we thought he was a must for a 12-teamer. I think he still is. He was only 56% rostered in the RotoWire Online Championship 12-team league. If Bowden Francis is available in your league, that's 3 straight great starts. He's the easy slam dunk. Go grab him right away if he's available.
Yeah, absolutely. I did grab him in a league or two. I think he was available in 2 leagues. I think I only grabbed him in one. I forget if it was the online championship or if it was in. Yeah, I'm now I have to look. I will tell you.
He throws this like half splitter, half changeup sort of thing,
Yeah,
and guys look befuddled. Like he throws it to righties, and they just kind of look lost. It comes kind of down and into them. It's a nasty pitch. It's like throws it like 84, 85, and just guys look fooled.
yeah. So I picked him up in an online championship league, and he was available to me in yogurt, but I got outbid there for the 1 week where I finally get outbid on players. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to find guys. You get 3 straight great stars. Like he is a slam dunk ad for me right now.
Yeah. After Bowden Francis, I thought the drop off was steep this week.
Steep. Yes. What did you like? What about Jack Leiter?
Jack Leiter was a player I picked up in AL Tout Wars, but I didn't say I like him. I did pick him up in AL Tout because he faces the White Sox. So I'd pick you up if you were facing the White Sox.
Oh, I'd give you 5 strong against the White Sox, right?
Yeah.
Now. I just walk Luis Robert and I'm fine.
And just hope it's like today where he didn't even play. Because
I can go overhand and sidearm and submarine too. I think I mix and match a little on these guys will be good.
Yeah. But going back to Leiter,
the minor league stats are really good with Leiter, though, which I keep going back to. I know he looked terrible in his major league outings, but he's got 23% K minus walk in the minors in AAA so far this year. So he's doing something right out there.
Yeah, it feels like, it's still 35 walks in 77 innings. So
it's too high, but 16% swing strike rate's pretty nasty too.
It is. So, like I said, I'm going to use him, but I'm not necessarily thrilled about it there.
He was my guy. I moved him up kind of as the day went along. He was my guy for Francis available. I obviously my top one, but I was mostly going for the closers that we'll talk about in a second here. But Leiter was like the top of my starter list. Tylor Megill should be back for the Mets. They did not commit to it, but with Blackburn out, I assume he's going to get the start midweek. And he's someone that pitched really well in his last AAA outing, and we know he can strike guys out. There's always some up and down with him, but I thought he was mildly intriguing this week too. I had him and Leiter kind of 1A and 1B in the. If you couldn't pick up a closer, you needed a starter. They were kind of my 2 guys there.
Fair enough.
With the acknowledgement that you are taking risks with both of them, but I think anybody you add in a 15-teamer at starting pitcher right now, you're taking a risk with.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my main event league. We got Darvish. That was the most expensive starter at $10. Some relievers went for a little bit more money, but we'll get to that. Alec Marsh got picked up. Jordan Wicks got picked up. Trying to find, scrolling through. Reed Detmers got picked up.
He's been really good his last couple AAA outings. He was bad, then he's been really good. I don't know why the Angels. I think there's I read there's a service time thing where now they can call him up and they gained a year based on this AAA year. But
goody.
Great.
Yay, Angels. Yeah.
I hope the Angels are really thinking for the future here, but it's absurd.
Yeah.
The Angels are so bad. I mean, the fact they're behind the A's is comical. Did you do anything with Brant Hurter in Detroit? Those any leagues there? He has 2 starts potentially this week. He is Detroit. Yeah, he's Detroit. He's pitching against the Angels and against the Red Sox. He was added for 17 in both of my main event leagues, so some interest there. He's been fairly decent. I think his last outing was pretty good.
I waterfalled him. And AL Tout. I don't think he got picked up in our main. I have to double check on that.
Yeah, he was actually pretty popular in both of mine. I was a little surprised by that, but people are looking for any kind of pulse right now. He's given up. He pitched not great against the Cubs. Pitched well against the Yankees. Pitched 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Pitched decently against the Giants, and then
that Red Sox start though. It's scary though, right?
The second half of that one is scary. You hope he pitches really well against the Angels, and then maybe the Red Sox push everybody back a day, and he just starts once.
Anytime you're hoping for that scenario, it's usually not so great.
It is tough. Anybody else with 2 starts that you liked? There's a Johnny Cueto 2-start out there. There's a couple of other ugly ones. I could not find anybody this week that I really want to have for 2 starts. That was the first time in a long time that I couldn't find. Brant Hurter was kind of the one guy. Even that one scared me a little bit, but there was Cueto, and there was not really much else that you could try and find. Maybe a Mitch Spence, but he was taken to most of my leagues. There's really not much out there for 2-start weeks this week.
Yeah. No, I didn't find a whole lot I liked. And I think that was the point. I mean, it's kind of a feature, not a bug. I mean, it's this time of year. We're kind of, ground down. I mean, this is a bad time to be trying to catch up.
Yeah. Michael C in the chat mentioned the one of the guy I was going to ask you about, Davis Martin in Chicago.
Yeah,
I think we all remember him from 2 years ago when he had that absolute disaster on the final day of the year when a lot of people picked him up. It was either the final day or the final week of the year. I remember because I got outbid on him and I was saved on that one. But he's been pretty good in his last few outings. Also, he has 2 starts this week coming up. He faces Detroit and then the Mets. So you got 2 home starts. You're obviously not playing for wins. He pitches for the White Sox, so not get much there. But he's been really pretty good his last 3 starts. He shut out the A's, then he gave 1 run to the Yankees, 2 run to the Giants. He's been pretty good recently.
I just feel like this is just pulling the rug out from under us the second we step on it.
Yeah, the start I was mentioning was October 5th, 2022. An inning and 2/3 and 9 earned runs on the last day of the season was an absolute just meltdown moment for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I could be wrong. He could be good. I kind of just cross off any White Sox though. I mean, unless it, I want to have more than a 5% chance at a win.
They are what 31 and 100 or whatever it is. It's about right. It's tough, but it was rough out there. There was not much to do. Leiter and Megill were kind of my most interesting. Bobby Miller was there. I was taking a stab on that one just because he had a good start, and there's obviously a bit of a history of being pretty darn good. But aside from that, Will Warren's going to probably slide into the Yankees rotation this week. So if you were maybe hoping for a 5-inning win, they're at Texas this week. He slides in the lineup for whoever. No, I guess he pitched that last week too. Yeah. So maybe they're signing it for Luis Heel, but
right.
Maybe Heel comes back end of next week. But Warren against, I guess it's at St. Louis. Sorry, it's not the start of the next week is at Texas. But home against St. Louis, maybe you're just hoping for a win there.
Yeah. I agreed. I mean, it's fine. I mean, at least you're at a good team. As Michael was mentioning, or Adam was mentioning, didn't spend much on FAAB this week. Call-ups next week are coming up. The only problem is it's it's the season ends like it doesn't even go to October, so you're only getting like 3 weeks of pickups here, even in September after the expanded rosters, which aren't as expanded as they used to be either. But it was a good week not to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, there was not a ton available, but you still find some guys. There are going to be some guys in September that step up and have good weeks. So I still tried to lock in relievers. I thought was interesting this week. There were a number of names that were available in a lot of leagues. Edwin Uceta in Tampa Bay has been really, really good all year. I know he and Manuel Rodriguez kind of seem to be splitting that role a little bit. Committee. It is the Rays, but Uceta has been great all year. His K- walk is an absurd number. Porter Hodge in Chicago looks like maybe the lead there with some splitting with Jorge Lopez. Camilo Doval got called back up by the Giants. I think that Ryan Walker is probably good enough that they're not going to slide him out right away. But Doval seemed to be pretty. I don't know if he had a bad attitude to start with, but it seems like he everything. He said that going to AAA kind of made him readjust himself and realize that.
I saw that comment.
Yeah, he needed to really kind of figure out what he was doing, and maybe it seems like that was a good 2 weeks down there for him.
Yeah, it really was an interesting comment there that he acknowledged that he had some attitude issues. I need to do I learned about the things I needed to do to stay up and things like that.
And the way it happened, I think we mentioned when he got sent down, we kind of thought that. Like, it was just weird the fact they didn't send him just the 7th inning and throw some low leverage games. I think send him straight to AAA made me think that too. Jason Foley's been pitching well for the Tigers, seems to be getting that job back. What did you do with this mass of guys? I was Hodge and Uceta were my top 2 targets here. I actually I moved Uceta above Hodge, but I kind of had them 1A and 1B this week too.
Likewise, Doval was after those guys, and Doval was available in a few of them.
Me too.
Yeah, and I didn't touch the Rockies because why touch paste eating Rockies? I know Victor Vodnik is out again. There he is. Going to suck your saves away from you, but no, he's gone.
I put Tyler Kinley on our outline for the 14th time this year, probably.
Yeah, and I'm not going to fall for that banana in the tailpipe this time. But I did get a little Hodge. I did get Uceta in a league, and I think I bid on him in another that's still pending.
And they are guys who are pitching really well, too. It's not just, he's sliding the slot. Like you said, I mentioned his K-Mass walk. It's 31% right now. His ERA is 0.86. His whip is 0.61. Like, it's been an insane season. You said it's only 31 innings, and I know the Rockies or the Rays are going to Ray and, use different guys. But he's been really, really good. And then Porter Hodge, 32% strike rate. The walk's a little bit high, but still 22% K- walk. He's 199.88 on the ratios. Like, these guys have both pitched really well all year long.
Yeah, they have.
Or I guess since they've been up 31 innings each.
Hodge and Tyler Holton are kind of similar in that respect, that they've just pitched well. And Holton for the Tigers has pitched well for 2 years running, despite his supporting metrics suggesting he won't be that good. It's one of those. And Hodge doesn't have great minor league numbers.
Hodge is all if he walks guys or not. I mean, his walk numbers in AAA this year, and AA last year were insane. Interesting question from Paul Spohr in the chat. Where would you take Ryan Walker in a 2025 draft? I would not take him very high because I think that I agree with Paul. I think Doval was a go down, figure it out, but I think he's the guy of the future.
That's what they want to happen for sure.
I think they want Doval to be the closer next year. Doval is still really, really good. We're still striking guys out. Clearly something's going on, but I think he's the closer next year. I wouldn't take Ryan Walker very high at all, despite the fact how good he's been.
Yeah. That's one of the problems with doing the crazy early meatball draft is because we don't. There's a lot of variables that are unsolved.
Although if you make some good calls, you can get some pretty good prices in guys. But I'm not quite drafting for 2025 quite yet.
Yeah, I'm not in that mindset at all. Yeah. Maybe I should be because my main event team's is so mid anyhow. But yeah.
Yeah, you and I have multiple sports that happen in between then and 2025 though, so I think that's probably where our attention will go. Yeah. What about hitters this week? First guy to talk about it was probably the biggest news story of the weekend. With call-ups was Dylan Cruz getting called up. He was not available in NFBC leagues, but obviously we talked to a lot of people with a lot of different leagues, unless he was drafted and dropped.
Yes, and that was true in one of my leagues. I saw.
Oh
that.
Wow!
Yeah, because
I did look him up, and he was not a free agent in any of my leagues.
Yeah, he was picked up in one of my on my 12s, actually, believe it or not. Huzzah! Kudos to you for being on top of that. 63 to 34 in that league.
Some spirited bidding,
Yeah, more than I had.
There will be some big bids next week. I mean, obviously, it depends how he plays this week. We have a whole week to watch, but if he does anything, anybody with any money left, we said it a few times, but anybody left now is going to bid on Cruz. You got to use it, but. 13 home runs, 25 stolen bases in the minors, hitting about 270. He's obviously a major prospect. He's 22. I think he's like top 5 prospect in all of baseball. That should be a fun watch in September with him and Wood out there. It should be a fun lineup to watch.
Yeah, it should be. Should be a lot of fun. Wood finally pulled a fly ball. I think
he smoked that ball too.
Yes, he did. It's like
I think he should do more of that.
Yes. Agreed.
The stat was no pulled fly balls the whole season. He hit a ball like 430 pulled. It was pretty impressive. But he's been after a slow start, he has been very good last month of the season. He's a fun guy to watch. Him and Cruz together be a lot of fun. That's I like the Nats are doing it. Just get those guys in the lineup. Give us something to watch these last 5 weeks in Washington.
Yep. The Nats are trying out a bunch of people right now. It's Cruz,
we talked about
Jose Tenna,
Andre Chaparro. We talked about last week as a pickup. He's playing every day. You get teams that aren't very good but play guys every day. And fantasy wise, for the last 5 weeks, that's going to really matter. You want guys that are playing every day, hitting the middle of the lineup. This could be a lineup that scores some runs too. And those are guys you could pick up early on for pretty cheap that might be pretty solid.
Yeah, every year, like in the off season, like I'll start the projection process late October. I'm like, who the heck is this guy that got 120 at bats? Oh, wow. Sure. He actually played a lot more than I thought he did.
As Trevor Rogers got sent down this week by the Orioles, Connor Norby was called up, playing almost every day, has homered a couple times. He was one of the more popular guys in bidding this week. I liked it. I think that he's going to play every day. I think he might lead off if Xavier Edwards does go to the IL, as we were talking about earlier. I think Norby is really interesting. He had a really good AAA season for the Orioles. We talked about the AAA team in Baltimore a bunch of times. They had a lot of studs in that team. Trevor Rogers, that trade is a mess, and he's in AAA. But Norby playing every day for Miami, I thought was really interesting this week.
Yeah, definitely. It was the first guy I was bidding on, first hitter I was bidding on in most leagues. Got him in Scarf, I think. I got him in Scarf. I'm looking at right now. Dropped Brooks Lee. That kind of hurt, but Lee might come back soon too, but we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. I was curious to see what the defensive alignment would look like there. And they've been playing some Norby at some third base, which you're going to get an extra position, which is kind of
I saw he qualified in Yahoo already. So I think that's 5 games there. So which means he just sees a few more in NFBC to get that too. That'll be corner middle for the last 5 weeks of the season. Pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty handy.
Yeah, I was definitely in on that. Did you do anything with Thairo Estrada? He's got back with the Giants coming off the IL. Obviously, someone that was like a 7th, 8th round draft pick this year, was very popular, maybe 8th, 9th round pick, but back and playing every day. Has had a horrible season, but maybe you hope he turns it on here for the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy was on my waterfall for sure. Wasn't my first choice. Honestly, all these Giants hitters, like sometimes you can catch lightning in a bottle, like with Fitzgerald or like with Elliot Ramos. But so many, the ultimate guy for that was who's the outfielder at 17 RBI in 1 week.
Luis Matos.
Yes. I don't think he's had 17 since, but
I don't think he's had 7. I don't think he's had 7 since.
Yeah, but if you got it, but Estrada went for 23 in my main, but second place was 2. That gives you an idea of where it the variance there in opinion on him. But 2 years ago, Estrada was like a very big plus player. Is like I'm happy he's my middle. I could get 20, I could get 10, 20 out of him.
I mean, he was what was he last year? He was 14-23 last year. So yeah, he was. I mean, that'll play right there, hitting 270. It's just been a mess this year. Hard contact is down. Never walks. Hitting 221. Only the weird thing is the only 2 stolen bases. That is the strangest thing of his profile. He had 23 steals and 530 plate appearances last year. 2 this year in 366. And I don't think
in this environment, that's crazy.
And he's been caught twice. So it's not like he had like 6 caught stealings or something, and he stopped running. He got caught twice. He just hasn't run all year long.
Yeah.
What about staying in San Francisco? Grant McCray. If you needed some stolen bases, he's someone that has run in the minors. He had 52 stolen bases in High A in 2023. Had 12 homers and 14 stolen bases across about 97 games this year in the minors. The Giants seem to be playing him most days. They do tend to platoon a lot, but if you needed steals, I thought that McCray was an interesting stab. You hope the playing time sticks and maybe he starts to run a little bit.
Yeah. Hope is a good thing. I don't know if it's a plan, but
kind of all I got these days.
Yeah. There's Grant McCray. There's the other McCray. It's just, it's one of those weeks.
Yeah, it is tough, but let's see. Anybody else you liked? Jacob Willson, I thought was really interesting. We talked about him a few weeks ago when he got called up by the A's. Their first round pick from last year. Called up, running the bases his first game. He got hurt. He is back in rehab, and they sent Darnell Hernandez out tonight. And there's been reports that they did that in order to bring Jacob Willson back up. So I think he's going to be back up with the team this week. I thought he was an interesting guy. Maybe you're not going to get a ton of pop and speed, but a good batting average. Maybe he scores some runs in this lineup. I thought that Willson was a good time to add him for really cheap.
Yeah, agreed. Because if they're calling him up, he's going to play
for sure.
Yeah. So sure, why not? I found myself bidding on David Peralta a lot.
7 righties this week, so Peralta's going to play a lot. That's a really good ad. I like that.
Some big hits for the Padres too. David, but I got outbid 4-3 in the main on him, but that was fun. But I did get him elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a bad one. Yeah, you had 7 righties. At this point in the year, we're looking for playing time for a really good team too. It's a solid one. He's been warm. Ahmed Rosario, I kind of think is mildly sneaky in Cincinnati. I think he's going to find his way into some playing time. Eligible at second, short, third, and outfield. If you need those stolen bases, a little kind of a batting average guy too. I think that Rosario might find his way into some playing time with our Reds.
Yeah, it's sad and pathetic who they're going after right now. Rosario is actually better than some of their options.
Yep.
They picked up Dom Smith also. This just
they went Dom Smith, Rosario, and Ty France in like 3 weeks, huh?
Yeah. Candelario is hurt right now, so that's part of it. Ick. It's just ick.
Yeah, this has been a disappointing ick year for the Reds. I just feel like they, aside from Hunter Greene, kind of and Ellie, nothing really was very fun about this team.
No, unfortunately.
For a team that looked very fun in like mid-March when the season
started.
That's the thing. You don't expect a lot great, but we thought they're gonna be, if nothing else, really interesting and fun, and they've been neither.
Does David Bell survive the season?
He doesn't survive the off season. I don't know if he survives the season. I imagine at this point he probably survives
off season. Yeah, I mean he's not the manager next year.
I do not think he's the manager next year. Yeah,
I tend to agree with you on that.
But yeah, just that. They had so many things go so sideways and so wrong, but it's been not
Timothy Tunks. Give me Eric Estrada over Thairo.
If you had Thairo for the first 3 months of the year, I can understand that sentiment. I had him in a spot, and it was gross all year.
Yeah.
A couple of Ramon veterans who are playing and hitting well. Ramon Laureano in Atlanta. Ramon Urias in Baltimore had a 3-run homer today. Ciano Perez caught the ball in his hat after they'd just done a segment about him catching the ball in the hat. Amazing the time. Like 2 innings before, they had done a segment with Eduardo Perez. My favorite was, I don't know if you watched the game, Justin Verlander accidentally called Sal Perez Eduardo Perez.
Oh, no.
Giving him props. He was like, there's like, who are the best, toughest hitters you faced? And he was talking about facing Sal Perez. He said Eduardo Perez. And Eduardo was like, it was definitely not me. I can promise you I would not get any hits off you. It was pretty funny. He handled it very well. But Laureano and Urias, both guys, Urias available in second and third. Laureano's playing a bunch, although Jorge Soler's in the mix there now too. But a couple of guys that if you're looking for a bats in the deeper league, I think they both work. And Urias has actually been pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Yep. There's nothing exciting about him, but he's functional.
Yeah. Anybody else FAAB wise? I kind of feel like that was it. Trey Sweeney is probably a guy that if you need some steals, playing a bunch with now he was playing already, but now that Javier Baez went on the IL, Trey Sweeney, some of the chat mentioned that, not only the Nats, but the Tigers are going youth movement.
Yeah.
I think Trey Sweeney just plays a bunch. He was 13-16 in AAA for the Dodgers this year before the Flaherty trade. I think that that's just someone that, could run for you. And if you need some steals, he's probably going to play a bunch.
Yeah. It's a desperation play, but desperate times, desperate measures. Maybe you have Javi Baez, in which case I'm sorry, but
yeah. But getting him out of your lineup would be a good thing. So maybe that's positive.
Yeah, Sweeney is a compiler, but and compilers need love too.
Couple guys I want to talk about before we jump out of here. Vinny Pasquantino, I feel like has been a very quiet monster. He has 96 RBI, 24 in August. I was surprised by the number. I looked today when he did something. I looked up and he had 96 RBIs. I couldn't believe that. He felt like he started a little bit slow, but he's been really good lately.
Yeah, I think it's because we all expected like monster, home run numbers from him someday, and we're not necessarily getting that. But it helps to bat behind Bobby Witt. Helps
boy does it.
Being around Sal Perez and Bobby Witt is a good way to get your counting stats up.
I mean, Pasquantino's at 12.7% strikeout rate. He's obviously a really low strikeout guy, and that's been about the same. But his hard contact's up 5% this year, almost 6%. So while he's kept the strikeout rate low while having more hard contact, he's up to 18 home runs. So maybe he gets to 22, 23, but you go 22, 23 and 115 or something like that. That's a really good year for where he was drafted.
Last year, Pasquantino had 1 sacrifice fly. He has 13 this year.
13 sac flies is a wild stat. That seems like a lot.
96 RBI.
Wow. Yeah. Hence Bobby Witt on third every time you freaking come up. Speaking of underrated, I feel like we never really talked about Raisel Iglesias. Just kind of assume that he's good and he's getting the job done. This dude is unbelievably good.
So good.
1.39 ERA, 0.6 whip on the year. That is 0.6 is an absurd.
Didn't he retire like 38 batters in a row or something?
Yeah, there was some number that was crazy high. 4% walk rate, 27% strikeout rate, 28 saves for the Braves. I think the Braves have been story of a lot of injuries and disappointing, but man, he's been awesome. He's 34. 0.60 whip is just ridiculous. That is a crazy number.
He's walked 8 guys all season long. He's given up 2 homers all season long. Yeah. So good.
The 169 BABIP helps that whip a lot too, but it doesn't take away the fact that he's been just awesome all year.
Yep. And just he's throwing a lot of strikes. That's a good start for any reliever.
Yeah. It's always weird when guys have like a really big start, how their like next couple months, if they're bad, it kind of gets hidden. Adley Rutschman's hitting 196 since July 1st.
Yeah,
I knew he
pointed out to us like a couple weeks ago too, and it hasn't gotten better since, huh?
I knew it had gotten cold, but man, under 200 for like that's a full. I know the All-Star breaks in there, but it's almost a full 2 months. Like that's rough right there. He's down to his start was so good. He's still hitting 265, 1871 at catcher is not hurting you, but man, 179 last couple of months. If you're like up there overall and you're kind of really trying to fire on all cylinders, he's hurt.
Yep. So let me ask you this. Are you still drafting as the first catcher next year? Or are you drafting like Contreras, Sal, Diaz? Who are you? Are there any catchers you're taking before Rutschman next year?
It's a really good question. I think I'd probably go William Contreras.
Yeah, he slowed down a bunch too, by the way.
He has. Yainer Diaz in the opposite. Yainer Diaz has been awesome lately.
Yes, he has.
Rutschman's still 26. He's young, but not that young. I love they played him tackling Christian McCaffrey on the kickoff again today. I always love that clip. Is great.
He's no Matt Wieters, but
Matt Wieters. Haven't heard that name in a while. Wow. I think I'm going Contreras 1 and still Adley 2.
I think that's fair. I think Sal just doesn't get a whole lot of respect on his name. This is the year he collapses. Yeah. This is the year he collapses. But he's 23 and 88 right now.
So solid. I think I'd probably go Contreras, Rutschman, Diaz, Yainer, not Elias, and then Perez 4th. But the thought that I'd probably just take Perez earlier than that. But
and then Cal Rowley's the other interloper here. Will Smith too, for that matter. It's not having a great year, but
God, it's been so bad since April. But yeah, I mean, I'd go those other 4 ahead of Will Smith right now, though.
Yep. I agree with that, but I think he's still in the conversation.
I think this is it. It's been a rough stretch for him, but yeah, still really solid. I mean, you kind of just mark in 2280, although maybe he doesn't quite get that this year, but I think he's 5th behind those other guys though.
Yep.
Yeah, Cal Raleigh out here just leading catches and home runs every single year. I think it's 3 years in a row now.
Yeah. Yep.
He's got 27. Perez has 23. Shea Bangaliers has 22, but it probably won't.
Did you call him Bangaliers?
Of course I did. There's always Bangaliers.
Right.
I like Shea.
I never knew that.
When he hits him, he hits bombs. Langoliers is 2261. He's only hitting 223, but he's
legit.
He's getting 26, 27 home runs this year. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. It's interesting to me. We don't really have a high stolen base guy this year at the position. Real Muto's got 1. You notice we didn't mention his name at all in this conversation. 7
RBIs last night.
That tends to help, but
yeah.
And he's still at 10 and 36 though.
Yeah. Oh, he's 10 and 36.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew he was not hitting for a lot of power.
A lot of time. He's only played 76 games. Real Muto has, so for what it's worth, but
still, he had 7 last night, which means he had under 20 RBIs going to last night. My gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. He has 1. You're right. He has 1 stolen base.
Yeah, it's the catcher wall hits when it hits hard.
And I know he wasn't. I knew 2022 was the big stolen, but he still had 16 last year. You're at least. I think you're going in. You're hoping for 12 to 15 with the thought that maybe you get 18 to 20. That's a huge year, but 1 is tough.
Yeah, it is. I don't think he's totally cooked, but man, you never know. Sometimes catchers just drop off Joe Mauer is just nodding in assent right now. The drop off is real sometimes. Hard contact still good. It's up a little bit from last year. Barrel rate's down though. But if he doesn't run, he doesn't have that high power upside that you hope for. But well, that's just the thing. Especially with catchers, I feel like it's the injuries too. They get hurt more often, they last longer, they have a bigger impact. Someone mentioned Logan Ohapi in the chat. I love Logan Ohapi. So yeah, not quite in the top 5 in that group, but he's definitely someone in a 12-teamer. Horrible team context. That's horrible team context. I wish they'd trade him at the deadline, but I think he's 24 and he's at 1750, hitting 250. Oh, yeah. They're never trading him. He's in year 2 right now. I know. I just wish they had to get him out of that cesspool of a team. The Angels are so bad. Yes, they are. Yeah. So, all right. I think that's kind of everybody I had. Anybody else that's on your mind? Anything else you want to talk about while we got you here? No, but hey, get those lineups set early. Remember, the resumption game is at 1:10 Eastern. So, you got to 1:10 Eastern. Oh my gosh, that's early. Yeah. All right, that's good to know. But yes, someone has asked, Chad, did we talk about waiver wires starting pitchers of the week? We did. If you go back and listen to the audio version, all of those are there. There's not a lot of them this week, but they are there. So about the 38-minute mark, by the way, in case you want to know. That's some info right there. Jeff Erickson, always on top of it. Yep. Love it. Well, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Thank everybody for watching. If you're watching live here, chatting, etc. Rockies all home week. Remember that 15 teams with 7+ games. Big week this week. Hope you move up the standings. We want to thank DraftKings Pick 6 for the sponsorship of the podcast. Other than that, we'll be back at you next Sunday night. It'll be September. It'll be 4 weeks left. So we're getting towards the end here pretty quick. So enjoy the season. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the remainder of the season. We'll be back at you next Sunday night. Take care and have a good one.